is going to have very strong opinions about the system. That doesn't mean their opinions are right or wrong, right?
No, because if what you're saying is correct, then people who represent mothers would say no, the judges have a strong bias for fathers. And so what you're saying is not true. No one.
Wait, so I'm just curious. If I were to go and shop around for lawyers that represent moms for child support cases, you don't think any of them would say, like, yeah, I think that the judge can be unfavorable, like supporting fathers at points? You don't think any of them would ever say that?
It's a strong word. I would say out of 1,000 attorneys that you ask, 995 would say that there's no bias towards fathers.
Hey, yo, what's going on, man? So last night I watched Destiny and debate or have a conversation with the lead attorney. And it was great because you have two smart guys. One's been a divorce lawyer and family lawyer for like over 20 years. Destiny is really astute, very smart, researches, does a lot of things. But one thing that I've noticed, and it came through in that discussion that they had last night, is sometimes Destiny only wants to believe what he wants to believe, and he doesn't want to believe in anecdotal evidence. So this is what my question is, because, you know, even some of the points that he was trying to make, I was like, that's the same thing. And then lead attorney will come like, yeah, what? That's kind of the same thing. Like, you will believe a reporter that goes talk to soldiers rather than believe the soldiers. I'm an attorney that's talking to the people, and you rather have another investigator come and talk to the people that's going to get the same information. But probably not as much, because when you get discovery being a lawyer, you get to see a lot of dirty secrets that that people won't report themselves. But that's besides the fact. But my question to Destiny is, when does the compilation of anecdotal evidence that's provable start to become evidence, right? When does it start to become evidence? I will start with me. I will give you my case number. I will let you go through everything that was going through. And when I submitted paperwork to the court, guess what I also did? I also submitted screenshots and text messages of everything that I was going through. And then guess what? We still settled out of court because we went through mediation, but I had to put pressure on her in such a way that everybody could tell what she was on. There's a lot of situations like that. If I had my son still here with me, I dropped him off, but I take him to do certain contracts with me. And we used to go clean his daycare during COVID because I was just trying to make, more money to not let the bottom fall through. While people were staying at home, me and my son was getting at it, and I was giving him money and showing him, just how not to be lazy and stuff like that. But there was a daycare owner of a 5-star daycare, and her son was going through the same thing. And do you know that the lady that her son was talking to was fighting for her to get full custody, and her not wanting him to be over their child, and also saying that daycare owner was not fit or qualified to take care of children. A 5-star facility daycare owner with staff that's been in the business over 30 years, that has had some of the smartest kids come out of there. She was fighting the court saying that she wasn't qualified. 2, within that same daycare, because I was there a lot, there was a couple that started bringing their kid there. And then when they broke up, that same lady that was with that man when they first started called and asked the daycare owner not to let the father see the child no more. But because he was already signed up as a parent, she was like, listen, we can't do that. We don't get in the middle of that. So he's already signed up as a parent. We can't refuse his rights if he's not a danger to the child just because you guys broke up. 2, there was another man that had just started there. And then for him to even get visitation, right, they had a guardian ad litem come through the house, inspect the house. They never did it to her. Come through the house, inspect the house, look over his finances. He had to do everything to prove he had to do all the things that she didn't to prove that he was a good enough father to get visitation. Sometimes even the smart people don't have no idea what they're talking about, because while you may know what you're talking about in certain political realms, in the gaming world, like, bro, there's people down on the ground zero that have seen a lot. I've seen a lot. If you go back to my shorts, I was doing social work in the men's homeless shelter. I've seen a lot, even when it has to do with family lawyer and like all these type of things. Like, I've seen a lot. Lee seen more than me, and it's like, okay, yeah, sometimes the red pillars be on BS, but sometimes how the red pill actually started, even though Rollo Tomasi takes credit for it and wrote a book about it, but even his book was compiled of men across the country from all different races, from all different walks of life, are experiencing the same thing. That's how it got started. Is when people get together and like, yo, man, I just went through that. Like, bro, you went through that too? Like, did she do this in court? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, yo, okay, so this problem is bigger than I thought it was, because I thought it was just me. Now we are, figuring out that it's not just me. You know what I'm saying? At some point, provable anecdotal evidence has to count into the statistics somewhere. And if we got to start with me and then we go one case at a time, I will even help you get cases that I come across. I will talk to the people. I will ask for their case numbers for you and send it to you. So that way you can begin to see how often these things happen. Because I no longer work in the social work field, so I can ask people for their records, and I'm not, breaking any HIPAA laws or anything like that. So if you want me to do that, I will even start doing that for you. I will give you case numbers and dockets of things that can prove how things went. And I'll start with myself. You know what I'm saying? And I just recently went back to court last year because I wanted more time with my kids, and she promised me, and we made an agreement, and she went back on the agreement, and I had text messages proving that she went back on the agreement, and it cost me money because I was doing contracts. I canceled contracts. So I canceled contracts, had to cancel so I could have more time with my kids. I chose my kids over money. And then even to go file for court and do all that stuff, I had to cancel contracts for 2 days and had to pay the court fees. So I was the only one that came in missing. And then because I could have held her in contempt of the judgment, which would have sent her to jail, guess what they said? They said, do you need a lawyer? If you need one, we can pick one out for you and we give you a lawyer. Okay, so she would have got a lawyer for free and I would have had to pay for one. Listen, man, listen. There's a lot that goes on that people don't really talk about, bro. And I don't want you to get in the habit of doing the same thing that the red pillars do, well, the extreme red pillars. So I'll start with me. You hit me up, camuppodcast@gmail.com. I will send you my case number. You can look at it for yourself. You can look at all the evidence that I dropped in all that stuff. Start with me. All right? Till then.